Hello guys, in our previous class we discussed CSS fonts. In this class we are going to discuss CSS. We are going to start with CSS dimension. Yes. So what we are going to discuss in this lesson now is CSS width and height. CSS width and height. That's part of CSS dimension. Yes. So now what I'm going to do now is to take this house which I used as background image. I will erase that. There's no more a background image. I will include it as an image in my HTML tags. So let me cut the file name like that. So let me erase all these background. Let me erase that. So now we all know how to include image to an HTML document. I don't think that's a problem because we have gone through that in the HTML lesson. So now we include image using image tag, image src, that is the source. So the name which I got earlier, I will paste that name here. So house.jpg, and whenever you are using something like this, you have to make sure the file of that image is in the same directory or in the same folder the HTML document is. So now that's we are using the house again, including it as image in our HTML document, then class. Let me just give it, okay, don't even give it class, let's leave it this way. So now here is the image src house.jpg. So now let me save the file again and let's load in the browser and let's see how it looks. Now, yeah, the image is shown now as its default width and height. The default width and height of the image that has been reduced to the default width and height. So now I want to give it a width and height. In HTML, normally in HTML, you can specify the width and the height of an image within the tag using the width attribute, the width and height attribute. So the width and height attribute is the value is in pixel. You cannot change the units of the value in HTML when you are specifying the width and height. So now let me specify the width here as 300 and the height here. And whenever you are using the width and height attributes, you can't specify the unit. Yes, the height. Let me specify the height as 200. So now you see a little bit change in the dimension of the image. So the width now is 500 and the height is 200. So now let's save and let's see if the dimension change or not. Yes, the dimension has changed. The width has increased and the height is in 200. So let me change the height as 400 and the width as 800. To see what I'm talking about, or let me just leave the width as 900 to see what I'm talking about very, very well. Yes, as you can see, the width and height has changed. So now what I want to do now is to use this to change the dimension of this image in CSS. Yes, to change it, that most of the time you'll be changing the dimension of an image, or you'll be manipulating an image, or you want to manipulate not only image, you want to manipulate some elements in your HTML. You want to change the dimension of those elements. You'll be using width and height properties. Yes, you'll be using width and height properties. So now for the image, now I want to specify the width and the height properties in CSS. The first thing is the selector, which is the tag, image tag, the image img tag here, which we specified in HTML here. That's the selector. Now we want to apply the width property here, the width as. So here you are, after specifying the width property, you are going to specify the unit as well. So the unit here is, let's say, 500 pixel. Let's say it's 500 pixel. If you are using pixel, and the height here is 300 or 350 pixel, 300 pixel. You are specifying the height in pixel. Yes. So now let me reload the page and let's see if the image dimension changes, the width increase and the height increase as well. So now we have different kind of units for height and width. You can specify it in pixel. You can specify the dimension in, instead of using pixel, you can use centimeter, cm. You can use pm. You can use, we have different kind of units used in dimension. You can make your research as well. You can make your research. You can use percent. And in this unit, whenever you're specifying width and height or dimension, so the unit comes in two forms. The first one is absolute unit, and the second one is relative unit. Pixel is different from percent. Whenever you're using pixel in dimension, irrespective of the screen size, irrespective of the device you are using to browse, the pixel will remain the same. The pixel will remain the same. That's why it is called absolute. Whenever you're using absolute unit, the pixel or the dimension which is specified for that element will not change, irrespective of the device you are using. But when it is relative unit, the pixel or the size of the image or the size of the element will surely change. Depends on the sizes of the screen. Maybe you are applying mobile responsiveness to the your web page. Then we are going to explain more about that as time goes on. So whenever you are using percent, the value of the height and the width will change in relative to the percent which is specified and relative to your browser. So now here, as I specify the percent, I can see the height and width is in fixed dimension. So now let me now use percent. I want to make sure the image spans the entire width of the document. I will use 100% for the width, spanning the entire width. But for height, yeah, percent is not advisable. You shouldn't be using percent for height. Let me just use 40. Let me just use 200 pixel. Let's leave it as 200 pixel. You see that the image will span the entire width. You span the entire width of the parent element which it is uh, included. The parent element here is the header. Yes, as you can see, the image here is within the header. So I think by default, if you didn't specify the header width, let's say the header spans the entire width of the page. Let's say the header spans the entire width like 100%. Now you now name this image. Now you now give it a dimension of width of 100% as well to span the entire width. But let's say the header, we gave it a width of 50%, spanning half of the width of the page. Now give this image as 100%. The image will also have 50% because the parent element is the header, and you have specified that the parent element should be half of the screen. So now do you see this? Can you see this? It has spanned the entire width of the page simply because we gave it 100%. Let's change out the 100% to 20%. Let's change it to 30%, and you see how smaller it is. And this occurs in relative to what? In relative to the screen size. So now, when I reduce the screen size now, the image will change based on, can you see the image width change based on the screen size. So that's why it is called relative dimension. The relative dimension, the relative unit, and absolute unit. The absolute unit, whatever is specified, it won't change. It won't change. So that's that on CSS width and height. Thank you very much.